Water on your kitchen floor. Again, you wiped it up this morning, and there it is by lunch. A thin little puddle creeping out from under the freezer. You don't see where it's coming from. You just keep finding it. And every time you do, a quiet thought goes through your head. There goes another repair bill. Stop before you call anyone. Before you spend a single dollar. That leak is almost never the thing they want to sell you. 9 times out of 10, it is one frozen channel the size of a drinking straw hidden in the back of your freezer, and you can clear it with a cup of warm water in your own 2 hands. I learned that the hard way, and I learned it from a man in Holmes County, Ohio, who never owned a refrigerator until he was past 40 and still fixed mine faster than any technician I ever paid. Stay with me, because near the end I'm going to show you the old copper trick that keeps that channel from ever freezing again. It came out of an icehouse design from the 1880s, and it costs about a dime. And this works on the refrigerator you already own, the old one. The one humming in your kitchen right now. Let me take you back a few years, because I want you to feel why this matters so much to me. I had a refrigerator that started leaking, just like yours. A little water every day, sneaking out onto the tile. I did what most of us do. I ignored it for a week. I told myself it was condensation. I told myself it would dry up. It did not dry up. What it did was get under the edge of my flooring slowly, quietly. The way water always does its worst work, by the time I noticed the floorboard near the cabinet had gone soft and dark, the damage was done. That little leak I ignored cost me almost $600 in flooring. $600 for water I could have stopped with my bare hands in 10 minutes. And here is the part that still makes me angry. When I finally called the repair company, the man came out, looked behind my freezer for maybe 4 minutes, and charged me $120 just to walk in the door. Then he told me the whole unit might need replacing. He started talking numbers, 800, 1,000. I stood there in my own kitchen feeling stupid and trapped, like I had no choice but to keep paying. Have you felt that? That feeling that everything in your house is rigged so you always need to call somebody, I felt it that day. And I almost wrote the check, but something stopped me. A memory. A few summers before, I had spent time with Amish families up near Millersburg, Ohio. I was writing down old ways of doing things, the way some men collect tools, and I remembered something an older fellow named Amos told me, sitting on his porch with a glass of cold mint tea. He said, "English folks always think the machine is broken. Most times the machine is fine. Something is just plugged up. Water always wants to go somewhere. Your only job is to give it the path back. Water always wants to go somewhere. Give it the path back." That sentence saved me $800, and it's about to save you too. So let me tell you exactly what is happening inside your refrigerator right now. Because once you see it, you can never be fooled again. Every modern refrigerator with a freezer makes frost. That's normal. To get rid of that frost, the machine warms up a few times a day and melts it. That melted water has to go somewhere, right? Water always wants to go somewhere. So the engineers built a tiny channel, a little drain hole at the bottom back wall of your freezer. The meltwater runs down through that hole, travels through a small tube, and drips into a shallow pan underneath the refrigerator near the motor. The heat from the motor dries that pan out. You never see it. You never think about it. That is the whole system. Beautiful, simple, quiet, until that little drain hole freezes shut. And it freezes shut on almost every refrigerator eventually. Especially the ones built before the 1990s, which were made simpler and honestly made to last. When that whole ice is over, the meltwater has nowhere to go, so it backs up. It pools in the bottom of your freezer, under the drawers, and then it spills over the front lip, runs down inside the door, and ends up exactly where you keep finding it, on your floor. The leak on your floor is not where the problem is. The problem is 8 inches back and up, frozen solid, where you've never looked. That is why people replace good refrigerators for nothing. That is why a 4-minute look earns somebody $120. Not because it's hard, because you didn't know where to look. Now you do. So let me walk you through the fix. The whole thing. The way Amos would have done it, slow and sure, no panic. First, unplug the refrigerator. Always. We are working with water and a motor, and there is no reason to be a hero. Just reach back and pull the plug or flip the breaker. Second, Open the freezer and take everything out. The food, the drawers, the shelves. Set the frozen food in a cooler or in the sink. You want a clear, empty freezer box so you can see the back wall. Now look at the bottom of that back wall. You are looking for a small hole or a little trough, usually right in the center, near the floor of the freezer. On a lot of models, it sits under a panel you can pop off with a screwdriver. Take your time. That little hole is the heart of the whole thing. When you find it, I'll bet you money you see ice. A plug of cloudy ice sitting right in or over that drain. That is your leak. That right there, that is the $800 monster. Here is how you kill it. Boil a kettle. Let it cool for a minute so it's hot but not scalding. Pour that warm water slowly right onto that frozen drain hole. You can use a turkey baster to aim it, or a funnel, or just a careful cup. Pour a little. Wait, pour a little more. You will hear it, a soft trickle, the sound of that ice plug letting go and the water finally running down through the tube the way it was always meant to. Water always wants to go somewhere. You just gave it the path back. Keep pouring warm water through until it runs free and fast. If you want to be sure the channel is fully open, take a piece of soft tubing or a pipe cleaner, something with no sharp edge, and gently work it down through the hole. Gentle. You are clearing a path, not stabbing a wall. Then go around to the back of the refrigerator down near the floor and find that shallow pan. Pull it out if you can, wipe it clean. Sometimes it's full of old water and gunk, and that smell you've been blaming on old food was coming from there the whole time. Put your drawers back, plug it in, give it a few hours, and the leak is gone for about a dime in hot water in 20 minutes of your evening. I want you to feel what that means. Not the leak, the bigger thing. You just did, in your own kitchen, the exact job a man was going to charge you over $100 to even diagnose. You looked inside a system that was designed to feel mysterious, and you found out it wasn't mysterious at all. It was just hidden. That is the whole game. That has always been the whole game. And here's the thing I have to tell you, because it's bothered me for years. This isn't the only system in your house like this. Not even close. When I started writing down what those Amish families taught me, I filled notebook after notebook. How they keep a cellar cold all summer with no electricity. How they keep flour and beans free of weevils for a year without a single chemical. How they heat a workshop with almost nothing. How they dry food, cure meat, and keep a spring house running cold without a power bill ever showing up in the mailbox. I gathered all of it into one place, 3 volumes. I call it the Complete Plain Wiring Field Edition. And it is the rest of this buried archive you just got a single taste of with that frozen drain. There's a special limited time offer on it right now. It's linked down in the description, and there's a QR code on your screen you can scan if you'd rather. I'm not going to push you. I'll just say the knowledge in there was almost lost, and I didn't want it to disappear. And that sentence, water always wants to go somewhere, give it the path back, is one of the most useful things I have ever written down. It shows up in the pages of the Plain Wiring Guide because it is the kind of plain, tested thinking that belongs in every home. If you want the full archive, the link is in the description, and the price is $120 for everything I've gathered. Every notebook, every trick, every piece of old knowledge I was afraid would disappear if I didn't put it somewhere permanent. Now back to your refrigerator, because clearing that drain is only half the story. The real question is the one nobody answers. Why did it freeze in the first place? And how do you stop it from ever happening again? Because if you just pour the warm water and walk away, I'll be honest with you, in a few months, it can freeze right back up. The leak comes back, and you start to think maybe the repairman was right after all. He wasn't right. He just never told you the second half. There are usually 2 reasons that little drain freezes shut. And once you understand them, you control them. The first reason is simple. The drain hole gets blocked by a tiny bit of debris, a crumb, a piece of food, a little knot of frost. Once anything slows that water down even a little, it sits there in the cold long enough to freeze. And once a little ice forms, it grabs the next drip and the next until the whole channel is plugged. So keeping that channel clean once or twice a year is most of the battle. That's it. That's maintenance the manual never bothered to make clear. The second reason is the deeper one, and this is where the old knowledge beats the modern engineering flat out. Now, if you already own a house and an older refrigerator that came with it, and you're thinking this clever stuff is only for people buying fancy new machines, stay with me. because this next part is specifically for you. The older your refrigerator, the better this works. The simple ones from the 1970s and 80s have the easiest drains to reach and the most room to fix them right. So here's the deeper reason that drain keeps freezing. The defrost system runs on a cycle, it warms, it melts, the water runs down, but sometimes the surrounding metal is so cold that the water refreezes on its way down before it ever reaches the warm pan below. It never gets the chance to escape. The cold wins the race. The Amish understood this principle more than 100 years before your refrigerator was built. They just understood it with ice. Let me tell you where this comes from. Back in the 1880s, before electric refrigeration reached the countryside, farm families kept food cold in ice houses and spring houses. They cut blocks of ice from frozen ponds in winter, packed them in sawdust, and used that ice straight through the summer. And they had the exact same problem you have: melt water. As that ice melted, the water had to drain away, or it would pool, rot the wood, and ruin everything. There was a building manual circulating among farmers in that era, the kind of practical guide passed hand to hand describing how to build an ice house that drained itself, and the men who built them learned a trick. If you ran a piece of metal, often copper, from the cold zone down into the drain channel, the metal carried just enough warmth from the lower, warmer ground up along the path. It kept the drain from freezing solid. The metal acted like a wick for heat. It kept the water moving when everything around it wanted to lock up. Copper moves heat better than almost anything a farmer could get his hands on. They didn't know the science by name. They knew it worked. They watched their drain stay open while their neighbors iced shut. Amos showed me the same idea on a spring house that his grandfather built. Little strip of copper, green with age, running down through the cold stone into the channel below. Still working. Still keeping the path open after all those years, and here is the secret finale, the thing almost nobody online will tell you. You can do the exact same thing inside your refrigerator's drain this weekend for about a dime. After you've cleared that drain hole with warm water and you know it's running free, take a short piece of bare copper wire. Just plain solid copper, the kind from a length of household wire with the insulation stripped off. A couple of inches is plenty. Bend the top into a little loop or a coil so it sits right in the mouth of that drain hole, and let the rest of the wire hang down into the drain tube as far as it reaches. That copper does exactly what the old icehouse builders discovered. It carries the faint warmth from the lower part of the system up to the coldest point, the drain mouth, where ice always starts. It keeps that one critical spot just warm enough that the water never gets the chance to freeze and grab hold. The drip stays a drip. It runs down and away. Every single time. A short piece of copper wire. That's the whole secret. The thing the manual left out. The thing the repairman either doesn't know or has no reason to tell you, because a drain that never freezes is a customer who never calls. I put that little copper wire in my refrigerator years ago. I have not mopped a single puddle off that floor since. Not one. Think about that. 140 years ago, a farmer in a wool coat figured out how to keep a drain from freezing with a strip of copper in his own eyes. And here we are, with all our technology, paying strangers $100 to not even tell us what that farmer knew for free. The knowledge didn't disappear because it stopped working. It disappeared because nobody profits from a problem that fixes itself. That's what I keep coming back to. Somewhere along the way, we traded knowing how things work for paying somebody else to know. And every time we make that trade, we get a little more dependent and a little more afraid of the machines in our own homes. You just took one of those machines back, you found the leak nobody pointed you to, you cleared it with hot water, and you set a little piece of copper to stand guard so it never comes back. That refrigerator is yours now. In a way, it never quite was before. That's the feeling I want you to keep. Not just a dry floor. The quiet knowing that the next time something in your house acts up, you don't have to feel trapped. You can look closer. There's almost always a frozen straw-sized channel and a dime-sized fix hiding behind the fear. So let me ask you something, and I really do want you to answer. When you opened up that freezer and found the ice sitting right on the drain, did you feel that little jolt, that mix of relief and anger? Relief that it was so simple, and anger that nobody ever told you? Tell me in the comments. Just write the word copper if this is the first time you've heard the copper wire trick. I read them, and I want to know how many of you were about to throw out a perfectly good refrigerator. And if you're the kind of person who believes that real practical knowledge has been quietly pushed aside because somebody profits from your not knowing, then you already understand what this channel is. We're a group of people putting the old wisdom back where it belongs. In your hands, in your home. Subscribe and stand with us. Because next time, I'm going to show you the spring house method those same families used to keep milk and butter cold all summer long in the heat with no electricity and no ice delivered. There's a stone trick in it that I did not believe until I felt it with my own hand. You won't want to miss where that one leads. Water always wants to go somewhere. Now you know how to give it the path back. And now you know it was never really about the water at all.